because people sound very different at different points. You know, like John McEnroe is a great example, actually, because in the 90s, John McEnroe was here, you know, it was like pretty high up, whereas gradually over the years, you know, John gets a bit lower, and you know, John's pretty much here right now, but that's like a whole octave lower. I mean, come on, you know, 90s here, and you know, 2020 down here, 2040 down here. I know.
I'm so excited today. Frankly, I'm always excited. I am meeting Josh Berry. I've shot him a couple of times at the Leicester Square, with a camera, obviously, and he went pretty viral a couple of years ago and on social media. And I'm very, very excited to meet the one and only Josh Berry. He's coming along soon. He got caught in something was going on in London today. I can't remember what he said. He kind of texted me saying he's going to be a bit of time, so we might have to wait and do this introduction for now. He's here. Josh,
look at that excitement.
I know. I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
You?
It's been a while because I have shot you before.
When did we last see? Was it like maybe 4 years ago? I think we
was
last saw each other. Yeah, long time ago. Long time ago. Good to see you again.
You too. Josh Berry is in the studio, and I've just realised I thought I've got to stand on something, because when you shoot portraits, it's always good to slightly come down on their face like that. But my backdrop is going to catch. If I do it like that,
I think I'd got maybe about
yay
much.
It's quite good for the camera actually, because of the perspective. Because you're further away, you actually look about the same height.
Oh, really? That's good. That's the father Ted. The father Ted joke. You know,
is it?
They're not small. They're just far away.
Yeah. The cows.
The Top Secret, the telephone. Have you seen Top Secret?
Oh no, have they got the?
They have in the foreground. They have a telephone ringing, and you've got someone coming up to pick it up. But he picks up this massive telephone.
Oh, funny.
It's really visual,
That's
really good.
Clever.
Thanks for coming.
Oh no, my pleasure.
We might get you
Thanks
sitting on there in a minute.
Yeah.
Or do you feel comfortable?
I think well, let's try it.
Yeah, let's try it.
That's quite nice.
Josh Berry, how tall are you then?
I'm 6'6", or 196 if you're that way inclined.
6'6".
If you like meters.
When did you stop growing?
I think I was about 19.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I've been, but I've always been pretty big. I would say I've always been a big guy.
Because my son's he's really into basketball, and he wants to push himself up, but he's kind of just reached 6 foot, but he's 17 now, so that's when you stop growing. He wants another couple of inches if he can.
Yeah, he could get maybe 6'2". I reckon. Well, they do that. Have you heard about the surgery they do now? Where it sounds fucking horrendous, but they break your legs and then they stretch your leg out, and then apparently your bone will adapt to that and then fill the gap. Right. But it looks insane.
But is that for people who are
Your son shouldn't do that.
No. I mean, is that for people with dwarfism or?
And not even. I mean, it's actually quite sad. It's like men who are insecure about their height, and they're kind of. But I think they used to do it in East Germany to make the athletes bigger.
Oh
and
right,
stuff.
bloody hell.
I mean, it's an insane procedure, which I didn't have done.
Josh Berry, we have met. I've shot you at the Leicester Square Theatre. We'll put some pictures up. And before. Oh yes, I did a photo shoot years ago.
Yeah. It was. Is
that when you first started?
That was a good one. It was like a year after I first started.
So when did you start?
2018. It's a kind of a strange story, that, because I started doing impressions, and I did impressions of tennis players, and so I started with corporate gigs, which is a really weird place to start. But also because I was, I was 16 when I was doing that. I was doing it for like 50 quid or whatever. Right. So they were quite pleased, because it was quite it was very bespoke to the tennisy audience, but they could just get it for free, basically. So I started doing that, and then I kind of started doing conventional stand-up, I guess, in 2018.
Yeah. So when you say conventional stand-up, but did you still do your impressionist?
Yeah. It was kind of I definitely sort of started out as someone who is an impressionist first and foremost, and then I would say now I'm a stand-up who does impressions, and
character. I mean,
because you shot me when I was doing Rafe Hubris, which the first half was just sort of like random, kind of impressions and characters that were a bit loose weave at that point. But that was that's kind of more the area.
I've had people on Vittorio comes to mind in the sense that that was the Leicester Square Theatre. You pretty much sold that out, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, it was great.
And that was from not being on television, and same with Vittorio. He's hardly done the TV scene, but yet you've got your following social media, or is that what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like trying to get as big a following as you possibly can. And also, I mean, the good thing about it is, other than obeying the algorithm and not violating, Instagram's like policies on whatever, you are a bit freer to kind of say what you want to say, right? But Victoria is a great example of someone who's done that incredibly well. The algorithm is a mysterious thing. It's an equation, basically.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to get as much engagement over a short period of time, such that it then decides to push you out to more people. You have to find a way to still have a bit of artistic integrity and do it.
But your stuff, you're not sweary, or you're very...
Try not to, but yeah, there's sometimes there's a little bit. But yeah, I try to kind of be... I like the comedy that's nice. I don't find it as easy to do. Right. I think it's easy to shit on people, and it can be very funny, right?
Yeah.
In an ideal world, I'd love to be a bit kind of nicer. Or
why did you start?
I was doing all these impressions, and I just finished university, and I was like, I'd like to try and do comedy for a year. And I think my friends at the time were like, what on earth are you doing? But,
what uni did you go to?
I was at Oxford, which is a source of shame and embarrassment.
We've got another Oxford University. What did you study?
I did philosophy and theology, so I'm a thinker.
By the way, if you're liking this episode with Josh Berry, like and subscribe. I always put this in. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to catch up to Josh's social media stuff. He's got 1,000. I'll put the link for Josh as well. But mine, like and subscribe, comment, share.
On your WhatsApp, and
on
what
WhatsApp?
else? Yeah. We need to do something controversial though, so it like triggers the algorithm. To get people to war in the comments. That's what you want.
Well, we were going to do this naked, but would that work?
We could finish it naked.
Yeah. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
You want people talking.
You want people to.
But I'm not that controversial. That's right. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Just in a nice way. So, but do you ever find that because your stuff is like quite silly, right, and whimsical?
Yeah.
Have you ever done stuff where you're like, oh, that's maybe a bit mean, or I didn't want to do that?
Who's asking the question?
Sorry. You're right. I've Louis Theroux this. I'm like wrangling it. Maybe I should talk.
Yeah,
Should I ask you?
Do that again. You did a reason.
I feel like I should be doing that. Should I do that? I don't know. I think it's a bit weird. You ask a question. Sorry.
Well, I could pretend I could invite loads of people on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's very. When I was gigging a lot, there were a couple of jokes that, because my stuff is just silly and fun and visual and all this stuff, there were a few jokes I did that could be construed as a bit sexist maybe, but they weren't. They were just wordplay and mucking around, and I felt that could go a bit wrong sometimes. And I'd every so often put in the C word just once.
Yeah,
and that was very funny.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like a conscious choice, right, to do stuff that's silly and kind of getting everyone on board.
I think it's because, I don't know if it's the same with you, when I grew up, the stuff I found funny, like the Goons and Tommy Cooper, was very visually and silly. Yeah. So maybe that was what kind of got to me. I don't know what you grew up comedy-wise.
I mean, obviously, like, other than stand-up, I mean, I grew up on like Star Stories, which I fucking loved. I love that so much.
What is it?
Really unapologetic piss take of celebrities, right. And like there was one about David Beckham, and the point is, all the actors doing them would be like deliberately uglier, and all the stories would be like completely like so ridiculously over-exaggerated. So like, the rumour about Alex Ferguson throwing a boot at David Beckham's head, they like act that out, and then there's like this literal like Adidas boot sticking out of his head, and it was just great. It was like pantomime,
right.
And I really found that hilarious. That's not necessarily that nice, but it was just so silly. And
I wonder if the famous people found it funny.
That's always an interesting question, right? When you're thinking about like, do people that you're doing an impression of or parodying or whatever like it? And I think it's a mixed relationship,
But you've done a wonderful thing by, I mean, I'm sure that's the impressionist dream, is to interview the people or be with the people you're doing. Yeah. One of the reasons that sparked wanted you to get on also was Alistair McGowan mentioned you.
So you have people, and some very good people, there's a lad called Josh Berry. Josh does some fantastic voices, but particularly tennis.
I love Alistair. Alistair, just as a sidebar, is that he is one of the nicest men I think I've ever met.
He's a very lovely man. Thank you for coming on. He was great. Have you met him?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah.
He's great.
But he was saying about Andy Murray was that you were doing stuff with Andy Murray, weren't you?
Yeah, last year, yeah, we did some stuff, but that did actually feel like, because I think he knew that it was very near the end of his career, so I was like, oh, this might be the last one we do. Like me and him walking down a street basically and saying, you know, how does it feel to play Wimbledon one last time? And he's like, yes. How does it feel playing Wimbledon this year? Are you feeling happy about it? What's going on in your head?
Not happy, no, that's probably not the word I would use.
I don't really think you did a very good impression of me, to be perfectly honest. And I thought it was a pretty good impression.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never rated it, but...
But what makes it so good with Andy is how good he is at laughing at himself. He's very comfortable and at ease with himself. And I would say when someone maybe isn't as much like that, it's a little bit trickier to do.
Andy Murray, but seems to have a really lovely sense of humour.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the thing, is that you see him, you know, give speeches and all this stuff or whatever, you know, after tours, and he's very funny. He's a funny guy, but very dry and just very funny. This
was a bit of a childhood dream for me, actually. I was doing an exhibition. They were doing like a charity exhibition at Queen's, and I was the celebrity. Like, they were doing like doubles, and they had Bear Grylls on one team, and then me for some reason. I have no idea. They're really fucking scraping the bottom of the barrel, like getting me in it. But I was playing doubles there, and then he was there, like warming up or whatever. And someone was like, "Oh, try and get Andy to do this thing." And like me and him are reasonably friendly. You know, we've sort of met over the years and stuff, and he's always like. Yeah, he's always very up for stuff.
And Andy, would you come and do my thing?
Yeah. Well, he's not coaching Djokovic anymore, so maybe he's
was
free.
he doing that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, Djokovic is from the same part of the world as my wife's from.
Oh, really?
So I could speak to him in the same language.
Oh, that might help.
Djokovic,
actually.
would you come and do it? Although, yeah, okay.
Maybe
Can you do him as well?
Maybe, yes, my friend, I can. Do Novak, I think that I feel in my body and my spirit that I'm here. We are having a perfect moment together. But if you cross me, I will never speak to you again. Okay. Yes.
I mean, we were doing an interview, so it's okay to me to ask. But do you get that a lot? Can you do that? Can you do that? Can you do that one? Yeah. It's like if you're if you're at a social event and they know you're a stand-up, you know, can you tell us a joke? Is that the same kind of thing? Or?
I think it's actually it's a bit easier. Someone be like, do an impression, because you know what it's like. The tell us a joke is so like tedious, because you're like, oh, it doesn't really work like that, because there needs to be like an audience and the context doesn't really make sense. And people are just looking at you when you say that, being like, what? Tell us a joke. Yeah. And so I kind of say, oh well, not for free, I'm afraid, or I'm not a charity comedian, and then that sounds a bit arrogant, and you're like, what? But it's protective. I don't know what to do. Whereas an impression, you know, you can just sort of do it, and it's all right.
How quick can you pick up a voice?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could do it as quickly as like do my mate, and then I could do it. That'd be amazing. Right. That'd be like a superpower.
But it's a study.
Yeah, it is a study. I'd say you probably get more efficient with time.
Right.
But back when I used to do like Deb Ringers and stuff, or not that, I mean, I did it a few times, they would say, you know, can you learn this person, and you do it in an afternoon, really. But also, like, it's not as binary. You impressions improve a lot. So like, I heard my Louis Theroux, I don't know, maybe like 3 years ago, and I was like, ooh, it sounded like off key. It sounded out of tune, even though at the time it was sort of getting laughs and it was all right. They do get better, and then they maybe sort of get up to a point. But the Andy Murray's probably been like really good for a long period now, where I would go back and listen to it and be like, yeah, that's him.
On the Louis Theroux, who chose who? Did you, by that stage, you're getting kind of well known?
Yeah, I messaged Louis, because I'd done an impression of Louis on my Instagram, and I was like, you know, I can't remember what it was about, actually. It was just like, it was about him doing a documentary about himself. Right. And being like, oh, I come to visit Louis, and I was going to ask him questions, and I didn't really know how I felt about it. I felt a little bit weird, but I decided I'd do it anyway. You know, how are you doing? How's it going, Louis? Good to meet you. How are you? Yeah, this is a bit weird. And then he shared that, and I was like, we should do it together. I think that'd be really funny.
Louis Theroux, firstly, how are you doing?
That's good.
Should we do it?
Let's do it.
Okay, right, here we go.
It was really funny.
Well, thank you.
It's also nice, as in,
exactly.
But it's they're in on it as well.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Have you ever had any sticky ones?
I think the thing is, like, if they're sticky, they won't want to meet me. So like,
but you're not one of those guys who go on the red carpet and try and force yourself onto
No, I'm not
people.
a Dennis Pennis.
Yeah. Do you remember? He was funny.
Yeah, it was very fun. I mean, I don't know, personally, like, I'm always very impressed with people, you know, like Sacha Baron Cohen or Dennis Pennis or whatever, because I find that so excruciatingly awkward.
Same.
Like, even when it's really nice,
Yeah.
I'll come away from it and be like, oh God, I got that wrong, or I fucked this up,
Yeah.
or I hope they liked me, which is maybe quite, you know, comedian-y, like, oh, I hope people love me. Please tell me I'm loved. David Mitchell will be really good, I think.
Right.
You know, because David Mitchell's just got such a recognisable voice. I mean, everyone realises how great that is. And also when he gets angry, it's sort of progressively going, well, what the fuck is going on? I mean, who would even want to hear that?
You know, I think that would be hilarious.
I mean, I find accents and voices so hard.
Yeah.
But how easy is it for you to switch into that so quickly? Because you know it now.
It's like it's like speaking a language. Do you speak any other? You speak your wife's Serbian, right?
Yeah.
You
Well,
say?
yeah. So yes, Yugoslav, she would say, but now it's
Okay.
gone now. But
Yeah.
yeah, Serbian, Montenegrin.
But it's like that. It's like the process of just you could switch into
Yeah.
Serbian Croat, right? And it's the same thing. Whatever part of your brain will just have it stored there. Some people you need a bit of tuning up, I'd say, or you need to kind of be like, ooh, I'm maybe slightly off with that one. So you have to kind of listen to, yeah. But also, I think the really interesting thing about impressions is that they're amalgams of voices, because people sound very different at different points. You know, like John McEnroe is a great example, actually, because, you know, like in the 90s, John McEnroe was here, you know, it was like pretty high up, whereas gradually over the years, you know, John gets a bit lower. And you know, John's pretty much here right now, but that's like a whole octave lower. I mean, come on. You know, 90's here, and you know, 2020 down here, 2040 down here. I don't know.
I think that there was a time where you could do an impression on the circuit 25 years ago where just the impression would get the laugh. But you kind of need context and material.
Yeah,
now.
right.
So
right.
you've got to write the jokes for it as well, or create something else, don't you? Or is that
Yeah,
true?
no, I think that's fair. I mean, I think what the show that I was doing before the one I'm currently doing, the show was called Sexual Politics. I was like, how to deploy the impressions, and it felt like a really good way of doing it was using the impressions to explain the kind of psychodrama that was going on in my head. So a lot of it was about like sexual repression, and for example, I had this routine on when I was single, sleeping with women, being desperate to like check they were having a good time. And how sort of that lent is like Louis Theroux just desperately asking me, how are you doing? Are you all right? Can we check in with you? How's it going? You said you were doing fine. Do you still mean that? Do you want to have a break? You know, that whole
So
thing.
that'd be in the bedroom kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I don't know, if you take impressions and characters as more like kind of archetypes or like different ideas about how, you know, different drives within your head, they can actually be a very neat way, I think, to kind of explain what's going on for you psychologically. That's what I found, and it seemed to work. I'm making it sound very complicated. It came across quite simply, I think, in
No,
the
but
show.
I think it's great to have that vehicle or that kind of narrative or the way of putting together a show. That's lovely, really nice, yeah.
I've seen people kind of do impressions and be like, hey, isn't such and such like this? And, you know, you see people do introspective material, but marrying them felt fun, you know?
That's very good. So today I'm shooting Josh Berry, and this camera I'm using is a Fujifilm GFX 100S. For portraits, for me, this is the camera. I do use other cameras for other bits and pieces, my live stuff, but for portraits for the last, I don't know, year or 2 years, I've been using this GFX 100S, which is a medium format camera, so the sensor is a bigger sensor than a full frame. It's 100 megapixels. The files, if you're shooting 100 megapixels, the files are huge. You can blow them up to poster size. Everything about the file when I see them are just wonderful. You can zoom into someone's eye and see everything. You can see me in their eye sometimes when I shoot. And the lens I'm using generally is this 80mm f1.7, which in full frame term is about a 1.2, I think. So it's very, very fast. I think it's the fastest medium format lens one can get. It's a beautiful combination. GFX 100S with the 80 1.7. Best gig?
Best gig. I did Shepherd's Bush Empire last year. That was really fun. That was amazing.
Both halves? The
Yeah,
whole show?
yeah, just me.
Why was that the best gig?
I think it was because it was so big and like that sounds like a bad reason, doesn't it? It sounds like I'm just purely seeking vanity with this job, which I am.
But it must be beautiful for people to come solely for you, sell it out, and you get a wave of love. Because as you say, your stuff isn't it's not controversial or kind of having a go at anybody. It's just lovely stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I do a fair amount of stuff ripping people for being wealthy.
Right. But that might be you soon.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think that's the joke. Is just, I'm taking the piss out of my own social,
Who did you rip the?
Sort of bourgeoisie, champagne socialist types is the kind of which is me by association.
But your character, some of the characters you do a bit like that. That's
yeah. It's sort of mocking that kind of group, and it's fun to sort of hang it off the idea that you're completely like telling everyone how progressive you are, but obviously you don't really know any of the real problems people are going through. But I did this corporate gig a while ago, and I watched Michael McIntyre do a set, and he was so good at just ripping to shreds all the wealthy people, and they love it. What I have found gigging to like extremely wealthy people is that they want to feel like you're mocking them, but you're not belittling them or looking at them in 2D.
Yeah.
So if you're making the judgment that, oh, you're really rich and so you've got no conception of anything beneath you, they find that really funny.
Right.
Because you're Trojan horsing, flattering stuff into it. They're like, yeah, yes, we are very rich, actually. Whereas I think if you're like, you're rich people, you're all Tories or whatever, they don't like that because they think you're flattening them,
Right.
And so I've always felt like if you seem to come from that class, it ingratiates you with that audience, and I think it's why that works for McIntyre.
Worst gig?
Worst gig? Oh, there've been so many.
Have there?
I mean, well, I just think the first year is always rough,
On the comedy circuit.
Yeah, none of your instincts are very right, I think at the start you're maybe, because it's such an unnatural forum, you're kind of overly defensive as well when things maybe start to go a bit awry. You just don't really have very much competence, as no one does one year in. I did a gig on a boat that was really bad. I remember I was maybe like 3 months into doing comedy. It was some corporate that was organised by a guy who'd come fifth in The Apprentice, so you can imagine what type of bloke he was. And he was there like, and they'd come up with the brilliant decision to have 6 30 minutes back to back on this boat.
Of stand-up?
Yeah, around Christmas time, which obviously, as you know, it's like the fucking worst time to do comedy. It's terrible. And I couldn't stand up on this boat because I was too big. It was like this really, so I was like kind of like this. And it just, I was doing impressions that I was like doing like Josh Widdicombe, and maybe sort of like 20% of the crowd knew who that was. I was like, oh, bloody hell, what's the deal with being on a boat? and like, obviously like in a specific type of audience, they'll find that funny, but it was just limp shit. It was rubbish, And it was that era where like, the impressions are quite good, but I didn't really know how to feed them in. And like nowadays, impressions probably account for about 30% of the set, whereas back then it was like 85. If you don't like impressions, you're gonna struggle through my set at that period. Yeah. I was like doing like some really hacky, like, oh, I was on the tube, whatever, and then some bloke shouted out, oh, really? It was awful. I said something about his mum, I don't know why, and then he was like, my mum is dead. And I was like, well, there's nothing I can do with that, and especially at this stage. Yeah. And he was like, no, she is dead, but it's fine. And then I was just sort of sweating, it felt like, it was dying. Like, it just genuinely felt like death. Yeah. God, that was a long time ago, but fuck me, yeah, that was rough.
Yeah. But you do learn from it.
For sure. Probably the most important character trait for a comedian is reflectiveness, I think. Yeah. If you don't do the post-analysis, you won't improve, right? Yeah. I think it's why, like, often quite hypersensitive people are attracted to comedy, because I think you need that trait. Yeah. Otherwise, hard, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm going to get you to look into the mirror. Have you seen these ones?
No. Oh, yeah, I've seen them.
So
sure.
What do you see?
A puffy face.
Oh, you were talking about that.
I'm so hay fever.
Really?
Yeah. Is that an adjective? I get absolutely murdered by it. No. What do I see? God.
God?
Yeah, I see God. No. What? My eyes give away a lot. I think I'm quite.
I think you've got very, very sparkly eyes. You've got good eyes.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I'm very good at hiding my emotions and feelings, and I think if you knew me, you could tell from the eyes, because the eyes are always They're always being honest. That's what I would say.
Just got this new bit about my watch. I've talked about my watch I'm wearing. This is beautiful. This really is an amazing watch. This is a Christopher Ward. I think it started out as like a micro brand, but now I think it's bigger than that. They do some wonderful watches. It's a dive watch, and it's got a bezel. It's got an internal bezel. I'll put the specs of it below, because I'm a kind of a watch geek, but not into all the specs. I just think how they look and how they work, I'm really into that. So I'll put that in the description below. But this is a Christopher Ward Super Compressor Elite. Check it out. It's really lovely. What is
terrible. It's like a fitness wearable. I'm an awful.
So is that like a smartwatch that does your pulse? And,
yeah, it'll do your pulse and your heart rate variability and how much you've burned.
But you do blood pressure as well?
It doesn't do blood pressure.
Because you can log it in on my smartwatch.
Can you really?
You can.
Are you a big blood pressure checker?
I started to be, because it was a bit high.
Okay.
But then it's all right now. Off the sugars. I'm off the sugars.
I don't. That's very cool.
Christopher Ward.
I have worn watches historically, but I think since I started wearing this, I'm just so conscious of the fact that it makes me look like Stephen Bartlett, who I hate. So
Can you do Stephen Bartlett?
No.
We're allowed to do that, not because it's cultural. Stephen Bartlett, if you would come on the show, but everybody you mentioned, I'm trying to get. But I started off liking what he was doing.
Oh, I think I did as well.
And then something. It's got something like 6 million subscribers, and it's kind of constant plug of trying to get more.
Huel as well, for Huel promotion.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And then they started sponsoring, saying that. I'm not
Huel, if you're watching, come on the podcast. He's simultaneously promoting Zoe, which is, like the blood pressure monitor.
Right.
And then also he's promoting Huel, which is an ultra-processed food, and Zoe's all about
not having that.
Yeah, just eat whole foods, and it's a.
Is it ultra processed?
Contradiction? I believe so.
Yeah,
although just for legal reasons, if it isn't an ultra processed food, I take it back.
Yeah, we might kind of put that bit out. But just I'm such a small channel, it doesn't really matter. You've got nothing to take from me, mate. You've got my camera and the watch.
This lawsuit could be the making of this channel.
It could.
Yeah,
that's
true,
the controversy that we're after.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's WhatsApp that out.
Huel, get in there with Huel.
That's it. We've got to do a selfie. I'm shit at selfies.
Nice.
One more.
Oh, look, we look well presented there.
Yeah.
I'm back at the Leicester Square Theatre in October doing my show Best Man. It's just about, I'm very, very interested in kind of modern masculinity and the place we find ourselves in, and I kind of feel as though we've eroded a lot of male role models, and that leaves us in quite a murky and interesting place, which I also think is quite ripe for comedy. So it's about me kind of working out.
Does Andrew Tate play a role in that?
Yeah, well, it's about, Andrew Tate's one pole of Christ, don't be that. and I'm kind of like, where's the good, who are we sort of trying to emulate? And it's a lot of it's about being asked to be my best friend's best man, and my difficulties around expressing love to my male friends, and kind of trying to deconstruct that. And so yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to perform. I think it's an interesting area. We seem to all be a lot more interested in masculinity than maybe a few years ago. My issue with the discourse is like, it's really good to talk about what's bad about male behaviour, but we really do need to try and create something in its place. Because I think if you leave a vacuum, then awful people like Andrew Tate fill that, right? Because, I think what was really interesting about adolescence, that young men and boys are desperate to feel accepted and to be told well done and all of that. And I think I love like a protocol. I love the idea of like, I've got something I can follow,
Yeah.
And it's why like people like Andrew Huberman are very appealing to men, because he's basically saying like, do this, do this, do this. And I think a lot of blokes just really want that. We've got to such a weird place with self-improvement and self-betterment, such that it's become this like excessive, ridiculous thing. But I don't think the idea of self-betterment is a bad one.
No.
Like, for example, like men should be encouraged to become better at intuition. That's a self-betterment thing, right? No. But you don't see like bros being like, hey bro, you gotta sense your girlfriend's emotions, man. But I think that is something that should be done.
Look at this. We turn into a proper podcast.
That's what it's all about.
Follow me now.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know, I think a massive part of it as well is that and this is something I try and deal with in my show, like my difficulty around telling my best friend that I love him. And I'm a very like emotional, parody of a progressive man. And I found it difficult. I think a lot of men don't welcome moments of genuine affection or love with their male friends for a variety of different reasons. But I think we need to do that to build a sense of community. I'm promoting the idea that it's maybe a little bit of internalized homophobia, which I think a lot of men have. Like this fear around being like, oh, I love you. to your male friend because we are socialised to be like, don't do that, which is absurd, right? It's ridiculous, but yeah, there's a lot of things going on psychologically, and I've realised in doing the show that I'm absolutely 100% not alone, and that like you know, I get two men up on stage and force them to tell each other they love each other, and you can see the resistance, because they're like, oh, I don't know, and you're like, yeah, but you do, don't you? Like obviously, and they're like, yeah, I guess, you know, and that actually for me I think is a real tragedy, because it's like so many male friends do love each other and will never say it for their whole lives. I was like, what really attracted me to doing that bit is I was like, I'd seen Johnny Vegas force people to do things on stage that were maybe a bit like crossing boundaries or whatever. Icky, but very funny at the time.
Oh, he's an amazing guy.
Yeah, amazing talent. But then I was like, what if I did it in a way that I think is benign? So I'm still busting through a taboo, but ultimately, like, their relationship will improve.
But I just want to say I love you. Let's give a hug. Thanks
for coming. That's what it's all about, Steve. I love you too. God, this
Cheers,
is great.
Man. Josh Berry, check him out, and thanks very much. And yeah,
like and subscribe. Stephen Bartlett. I'm off the next episode.
Keep that on.
Joy Hugh.
Yes.
Keep that off.